I'll put that on YouTube.
I'm not gonna put it on YouTube.
Okay. Now, even when you say this, though, you can talk about it even more and say, how did it affect
The reader.
How did it affect her?
How does it affect the reader? Now you can say that, yeah. Because maybe there was an emotional connection. So I said, when this happened, the reader saw that there was a transformation, but the reader also had an emotional reaction to the fact that it was a tear. We associate tears with what?
Sadness.
It could be sadness. What else?
Like
What else
Regret.
do you cry?
Regret.
pain
Could be pain. Yeah, you cry for a lot of different reasons. Fear, maybe.
or happiness.
Maybe she didn't regret it.
Yeah, you use happiness. However, if we want to connect it to this,
Impurity.
maybe we can connect it to here too. You want to argue for all those things, right? So fear, for sadness. So it affects the reader in that way, you know? And then each one gets a sentence. I mean, one example is that the tear represents a kind of sadness.
So should we be like literal, like this affects the
Very
reader?
literal. Absolutely, very literal. And every example, very specific. And break it up into
Like
sentences.
it makes the reader feel
Yes.
pain or whatever.
Absolutely. And don't throw them all in one sentence. Give each one a sentence of their own. They deserve it.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
See, and that's how you write. That's what writing is. Writing is just, when you're writing one of these papers, it's just a way to organize your own thoughts and put it on paper and see how the thoughts. That's development. When you look at the rubric, the development of an idea is taking each individual idea and giving it its own little sentence. It's like, oh yeah, there it is. Now moving on to the next sentence. And then when you put the sentence together, then you have a paragraph that is so laser focused on one idea. You know?
Laser focus on this. Look.
So just the thing about
Tear,
that
transformation
would be like a whole
of
paragraph?
her purity
That could-
to
that could be
impurity.
a
So okay.
How
So the
did
introduction would be, we're talking about this and this and this represents this.
how did this
And
affect the
other
reader?
one would be, an impurity of Laura would be her tear, and then explain that. And then we could say again, another impurity could be this, or how that affected the reader.
In the intro?
No, I mean a different paragraph.
Yeah, well, you can do different things. I mean, do you want to, like, for example, if you're writing this, let's say one example of impurity is Laura. And then you could show it here, right, with all this.
Wait, so we have to
So
choose
is it-
3 examples.
Of impurity.
It's haunted.
You can do 3 examples. That's a good way to do it, I think. What's another example of impurity? In the poem altogether.
Wait, so how many paragraphs do you want in total?
Minimum.
You're thinking too far ahead. Let's just go step by step here.
Okay.
Because you'll see it at the end. So what's another example of impurity? We said
The
it before.
goblins?
Yeah, goblins. So there are a lot of different ways to do this. If you want to, you can say, look, I'm going to talk about both characters, Lizzie and Laura. And you can come up with 3 examples how Laura is impure. Or you can just talk about one example of Laura is impure.
And
And then the next example is a goblin.
And
See
then
what I'm saying?
Okay.
But then you have to
That
come
was
up
my
with a third
question.
one. Somewhere.
Purity.
Which would be
The fruit? No.
her eating the fruit.
Or what about
Maybe.
the girl that already ate
Oh.
the fruit and died?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever her name
I
is.
think Jeannie, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
Jeannie is an example of impurity. Now, whether we think it's impurity or not, ourselves, it was impurity because
She
Lizzie used that to warn Laura,
Yeah.
About the
Not to eat the fruit. Yeah.
used as a warning. Now, don't summarize too much. We don't want TMS to happen, right? Too much summary.
Oh.
You can talk about Jeannie, but you can go back to the text and say, look at line, you could say in line 143, it says this, or lines 143 to 147, it says this, copy that. This shows that Jeannie was meant to be a symbol of impurity, or this is when Lizzie warned Laura about eating the fruit because of Lizzie. Because of Jeannie. The goblins, there's a lot of different ways we look at it. They symbolize impurity, one for what? How do they symbolize?
They're men.
No, how they
Yeah, they're men.
How do they symbolize?
Okay, men, but then what do they look like?
Animals? No.
Yeah, they're ugly.
Yeah.
No, I forgot it. How they lure in.
What?
How they lure in and what's her name, Laura and Lizzie. How they try to lure them.
Ugly men.
Luring.
What is that?
Like causing them
Temptation? Tempting?
So they're luring and tempting. So goblins, they show impurity a couple, at least two strong ways at least. One of them is that when they're described, they're very ugly. One was rat-like, one crawled like a snake, one had a wombat's tail, one was like a snail. Remember that?
Yeah.
So, look, Christy Rossetti's not trying to show them they're good people. They don't look like birds and lions.
Or handsome princess.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they look like worms and chickens
Snail.
Ugly.
and wombats, which are kind of like skunks, you know what I mean?
Like
You.
most men
So-
these days.
Not at you.
Except, I was gonna say except for you.
That can be in the conclusion. That's where all that stuff, all your personal
Feelings.
all your personal feelings about how it connects, that's in the conclusion.
Okay.
Oh.
I'll put in the intro sometimes. That's for different kinds of papers. For this, like when you look at a poem, or not a poem, when you literally
Analyze
put it
this.
at the bottom. So goblins, because they're ugly guys, that really is trying to show that they are a form of impurity, and that's how Rossetti wants to show that. But also they're very alluring and tempting, right?
Yeah.
They're not honest. So you can find a quote that shows that. Come by, and they're it's almost like what's the word? It's called a
Luring.
mantra, but
Yeah, that's a smart word for us.
mantra?
Like their
Yeah.
mantra?
Come by.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know that one.
And their actions. You can point to a lot of actions.
Like
that
what they
do.
live for.
Especially even at the cover of the book when they're like
Ripping.
virtually attacking and kind of rape them.
Physically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Laura.
Lizzie.
I'm sorry,
Lizzie.
Lizzie.
Well, first they do it to Laura, but Laura just
She goes
She's
for it.
actually-
She goes for it.
She liked it.
She completely gives it in a very
Lizzie, on the other
strong,
hand,
aggressive
Lizzie
way.
was
she
strong.
fought.
And
So what happened to them at the end? They just left?
No, remember that Laura was pining away. In other words, she was dying, like withering, like a flower withers and dies. She didn't want to eat. She was getting super thin. Her hair was brittle. And then when Lizzie came back, interestingly,
And she told
with the same kind of juice.
You.
She told her to suck her juice.
Yeah. So
Suck
she
my
sucked it off her body,
juices.
basically. And strangely, it had a different kind of effect. Now, that's interesting. We didn't talk about that in class. Now, the same substance, right, has a different effect. Why did it have a different effect?
Because the girl gave it to her? Or why?
Well,
I
because she
think-
gave in, and Lizzie, like,
No, but exactly, wouldn't she be queriendo más? Because,
Laura?
wouldn't she?
Remember when she tasted it, it tasted different to her.
Bitter.
It tasted very bitter, it tasted terrible. But it's the same substance. So why would that happen? Now, we can look at how this, I'm not sure if anyone's going to get to this point. There's another level of the poem here. It's saying that any substance, anything that is tempting can be a good thing. You know? Something that seems tempting can be good if used in the right way. It was used in the right way because it was a sister's loving kind of show for her. It was a way to get her sister an antidote for her poison or her sickness. So she did it in a loving way, or she presented it to her from a sister rather than from like a monstrous, evil way. You know, same thing could be seen as like anything that's tempting, like alcohol or drugs or sex or anything like that. Use it in a good way, it could be a good thing. Use it in a bad way and tempted to use it in a wrong way, in an impure way, it could be a terrible thing. You see?
Yeah.
But that could be for conclusion. I mean, so I don't know if we have to go through this now here, but Lizzie, you just talk about, or it doesn't have to be one Lizzie and then talk about how she's pure in one way, because she resisted, right? Maybe.
Insisted goblin.
Resisted the goblins. And discussed that in detail. She resisted the goblins. This is how it affected Laura. Maybe it didn't affect her at all. Laura didn't learn from it. The reader sees that Lizzie is that one person who, you know, represents that purity because she resisted the goblin. And what are two other examples? We don't have to go through the whole thing.
Purity.
Purity?
Oh, what kind of like?
Do you think the fruit? Could be. Did you know what you said?
How?
Possibility.
Did you see the picture that he was showing around of the fruits? Ew. That was nasty.
I'll show you that.
That was nasty.
So the fruit could actually possibly be a sign of purity.
Well, how?
This poem's so complicated that you can really like read it both ways. I think she wrote it that way. A lot of things can be read both ways. itself, it was succulent, it was juicy, it was shown as a very sensual thing. It was fruit in general is tasty, it's sweet, it's good for you,
The plum.
right? Right. Like the plum. So I think in some ways, fruit, it could be a pure thing, but just like any pure thing, when abused, can turn into a bad thing. You know, so you can say fruit and then talk about that whole first page where it's shown to be like really tasty, and delicious.
A good thing.
You know what I mean?
Like a good thing.
That could be purity there too. Now, all that fruit, we can bring it back to the fall of man, and we're going to look at the parts of the
Adam
Bible
and
too, and
Eve.
Adam and Eve, and the idea that fruit was a pure thing, but it was
She
used.
used it in the wrong way.
Yeah, and it was used the wrong way by the wrong person, wasn't it? The wrong person, of course, in mythology is the dark one, Satan. In Paradise Lost, which you read part of, and not only that, but Genesis, Satan takes the fruit and says, come by to Eve.
He says,
the
"Come
story
by?"
goes. He doesn't say that.
Oh, that's so cool. That's where she got it from.
I'm going to rewrite it.
Rewrite it.
No, but I meant like not literally, but
The
like
snake said, "Come by."
he tempted her right,
Yeah.
to do it and kind of deceived her in a way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the goblins deceived, and that was the fruit too. Kind of interesting. There.
Honesty.
Yeah, it's good.
It's honest tea.
It's pure.
It's pure tea.
And the third
That
thing,
can we use that as a sign of purity?
yeah.
The tea.
But
Can another sign be like Lizzie's love?